everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a video on how to eat cheaply as a student. I'm a vegan, so it's mainly going to be vegan related things, but I'm sure you could apply them to whatever food you eat. But yeah, I just thought it might be helpful now that I've been at uni a while and I've kind of got into the swing of things, and I've picked up some tips and tricks that I know help me save money when I'm doing my weekly shop. So my first tip is to know your budget. You can do this in a variety of ways. I know people that had a full-on spreadsheet and they had how much money they'd spent each week in it, and it worked out great for them and they could fill in everything they'd bought and it would all do math stuff and you'd know how much you have left. I personally have more of a mental budget. I know how much money I get each week and I know how much of that I want to spend on food, and I just kind of keep that in mind whenever I'm buying anything. But everyone comes to uni with a different weekly budget or monthly budget or budget in general, and everyone wants to spend different amounts of money on food. Some people prioritise it above other things, some people prefer going out, or you know, everyone spends money different ways. So as long as you know what your budget is for food, just keep that in mind when you're shopping so you don't go crazy and go way above that. My next tip is to make sure you always have staples on hand. So I kind of do this by doing a monthly or so online shop that I have delivered. So in that I get all my cans, all my soy milk, porridge, pastas, rices, lentils, everything like that I don't want to carry from town because they're heavy. I make sure I get that in a shop, so I always have something to eat, and I'm never gonna you know, call a delivery place because I don't have anything I can eat. I'll always have something in. And then when it came to fresh food, I would just pick that up when I was out. I know some people do it differently. They prefer to go into town and just do a weekly shop, and that's how much food they have for the week, and that works good for them. But I prefer to get fresh things as I run out, and it means it kind of stops food going bad as quickly, I feel, because otherwise I would just go crazy at the beginning of the week, and by the end of the week I reckon a lot of things would be bad and I wouldn't fancy them anymore and everything like that. The next tip that I have is to make meals in bulk. I'm a little bit addicted to doing this. I love making like a huge curry or a chilli or I don't know, bolognese, a stew, soups, everything like that. Make them in bulk, make, you know, 6 portions of it, and then divide it up into sandwich bags and freeze them, or take one in for lunch the next day and everything like that. This is so good when you might come to a month that you've spent a little bit more money than you were planning on it, but you don't have to worry about buying food for quite a few days because you have meals all prepped in the freezer. And again, that's like I said before, it stops you from ordering food if you're hungry because you have a meal already prepared. You have no excuse, you can't be lazy because all you have to do is defrost something that you've already made. And then following that, making your own food. So I know a lot of people will buy curry sauces or will buy pasta sauces, and although sometimes they can work out cheaper, I would just say make it yourself. You know what's in it, you know you're not adding anything dodgy, and a lot of the time it will come out cheaper if you make it yourself as well. I think a lot of people think veganism is really expensive, but if you live off the staples, which are cheap, so beans and rice and potatoes and things like that, it really can be super cheap. Vegetable wise, which can maybe sometimes be a bit more pricey, I would say look at frozen options. So I know for spinach, I love frozen spinach because it comes already like compacted. You get a lot more for your money and you can just throw that into soups and stews and curries and it just defrosts, and it's way better than fresh spinach because it's cheaper and you can, you know, just put a few blocks in and it's the same as like a whole bag pretty much. I would also say make sure you meal plan to some extent. I'm not great at this, but I always have some sort of idea of the meals I want to have that week. So then you can buy things that you can use in multiple dishes and stop them going bad. Another good idea is to have a list on your phone with just ideas when you come to them, the food that you've got in the house and food that you want, so you can kind of constantly have that list going. And it's not a case of when you go to the supermarket you're overwhelmed and you want everything, because you know what you're out of and you know the things that you're, the meals that you're having that week, so you know the ingredients you need to buy for them. In terms of veganism, you can make dishes as expensive or as cheap as you'd like. Obviously, if for breakfast you're having, I don't know, maca powder and spirulina and goji berries and I don't know, all sorts, it's going to make your weekly shop a lot more expensive. So for things like that I tend to ask for them for Christmas, so it's not something that I have to budget in. And then I treat things like fake meats and everything like that as a special occasion. I don't have them every day, or I have them when they're on offer. So Linda McCartney sausages are often on offer for £1, so I get a couple then. Or their pies and things are sometimes reduced as well. And then I try and limit the stuff that I buy from health food shops like Holland and Barrett and like the local vegan shops, only because the specialised products do tend to be more expensive and I know that I don't necessarily need them. So they're definitely always a treat. I go in and have a look, I have a nosy, and then I decide what I want and I think about it, and then when the time comes I feel like I deserve this, I don't know, packet of chicken burgers, I will go into the vegan shop and I will buy them, because obviously it's all about moderation. If you fancy them, you should get them. You shouldn't limit yourself to just rice and beans. So yeah, that's what I would have to say about veganism and budgeting. And then also in terms of making things in bulk, pack your leftovers for lunch the next day. Don't go to campus without food if you know you're going to be hungry, because that is where you spend most of your money, especially now that I'm second year and I don't live on campus, so I'm there for a longer time. I can't just pop home and make myself something. Make sure you bring food in, because as soon as you know, you go to Pret and you buy a £4 sandwich, that's like a quarter of my budget for the week almost. So it is ridiculous when you realise how much money you can spend out. So yeah, if you've made a big meal the night before, bring it in a little Tupperware and it's fine, you're sorted, or make a sandwich or a wrap or anything like that. And I would say that that's probably what saves you the most money, because food on campus isn't cheap. So I think that's pretty much everything. I feel like this might have been quite a short video, but I'm not sure. I hope some of the tips were helpful. I think a lot of the things are common sense, but sometimes it's nice just hearing them again. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye!